So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Southwest Regional Quick Pitch Competition. This is our 5th year hosting a regional pitch competition as a part of Riverside County Innovation Month, and it's the first time we've ever done so virtually. So thank you in advance for all of your patience and grace and all the grace that you can offer us as we work through any IT problems, but I know we will figure this out and get it to run smoothly as we've got Heather Estrada behind us handling all the IT. For all of our attendees, we appreciate your interest in innovation and the support that you bring to our startups. If you are curious as to how to get even more involved in the startup community, please reach out to me after this event. I can go over all the great things that are happening in our innovation ecosystem and offer you ways to engage with it. I would also like to add a quick thanks to our city partners, including Gina Gonzalez and Kayla Charters from the city of Menifee, Christine Damko and Charles Walker from the city of Temecula, Kim Davidson from the city of Wildomar, and Justin Kirk from the city of Lake Elsinore. And this event would not have happened today without the hard behind the scenes work of Impact Southwest Riverside County, especially Heather Estrada and Patrick Ellis and Hilder Sam, who've been working to bring this event to us. So we'll move on to the next slide. And I'd like to start off with a thank you to our sponsor, who is the law offices of Benjamin Diedrich. Thank you, Ben, for your continued support. Ben's been a sponsor of this event for many years now. Without Ben, there would be no cash prize today. He's a longtime champion of innovation and entrepreneurship, and he also has a fabulous beard, which he's trimmed down a little bit for us today. But thank you, Ben, and I'd like to give you a chance to say a quick word to the group.
Well, thank you, Scott, for all of that, especially the beard commentary. But no, thank you. It's been my honor these last several years to be able to sponsor this competition. I myself am a registered patent attorney with my office here in Menifee. So seeing the new innovation that's coming out of the Valley is very exciting. You know, I grew up in this area, went through the Lake Elsinore High School, started my career at Mount San Jacinto here in Menifee before moving on, and then worked in the biotech industry in Temecula before going to law school. So homegrown, moved our practice back here 5 years ago. You know, we work with garage inventors, startup companies to Fortune 500 international companies and everywhere in between, but really excited to help the local community and see all the excitement coming out today.
Great, and thank you, Ben. I didn't know the backstory and what a homegrown talent you are, but that's the exact kind of success story that we like to hear here in our region, and it's exactly what Innovation Month is all about, showing all of the great concepts and successes that are coming out of this region that people maybe don't know about. So in order to get started, we'd like to run a brief overview of Innovation Month, this time in the form of a video. So if we can move along to the video slide.
Join us as we celebrate innovation in Riverside County. Riverside County's progress has been driven by innovative pioneers who think big, work hard, and take risks. Innovation in business introduces new processes, delivery, products, or services that affect positive change in the way business is done. Innovation advances technology, increases efficiency, and drives revenue. Riverside County Business and Community Services, along with city, chamber, business, and other strategic partners spanning across the county, will celebrate and acknowledge innovation throughout the entire month of April. I'm here on location at the Naval Circus Warfare Center, home of the Inland Empire Tech Bridge, an Inland Empire Center that's all about innovation. There is a month-long lineup of events, workshops, and regional competitions that will culminate with a fast-pitch finale, a Shark Tank-style competition, which will be held April 28th. Innovators with creative business ideas in any field are invited to compete and have a chance of winning cash prizes. We encourage anyone with entrepreneurial spirit to get involved with Riverside County Innovation Month.
All right, so that's just a quick overview of Innovation Month. I think Karen Spiegel wanted to talk to us again. A quick overview of Innovation Month and all that's going on. And we look at those companies, I don't think that's what a lot of people think about when they think about the inland area of Southern California. But there is great technology, great innovation going on here. And today's our chance to start to highlight that and showcase it here in Southwest Riverside County. And with that, it's now on to our judges. You'll get to know all of them a little bit later. We're just going to do a quick introduction. The judge will have a chance to speak when we're doing Q&A. So for now, we're all going to stay muted. But I wanted to start with our first judge, which is Mayor Maryann Edwards from the city of Temecula, which is home to an amazing business environment that has a strong focus on startups through their Temecula Valley Entrepreneurs Exchange, or TVE2. They've also done a great job in economic recovery from the pandemic with their Temecula Revive initiative. Mayor Edwards has been a resident of Temecula since 1988, meaning she's seen everything happen in this valley. She's been a wonderful community steward for a long, long time. So it's wonderful to have her here as a judge today. And our next judge is Mayor Pro Tem Christi White for the city of Murrieta, who is a longtime supporter of this event, serving as a judge in prior pitch competitions. Back when we used to do them live, she can remember the days where we had live people pitching in front of the judges. Mayor Pro Tem White is focused on sustainable economic development, and she has a robust business background. For that, I'm very grateful since I work in economic development with her. She's also a wonderful promoter of the city of Murrieta as a strategic location to do business. She's already had a full day of hanging out with me today, as we were just both at the Kaiser groundbreaking for phase 2 of their medical campus here in Murrieta. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem White, for being here. And our next judge is Councilmember Robert Karwin. I believe he likes to go by Bob particularly, though. And every time, Bob, I just want to let you know this, every time I talk to Gina from Menifee's Economic Development Department, it seems like Menifee has grown by 10,000 residents. The growth rate in Menifee is absolutely phenomenal. And we all know that you're going to be the big city in the region very soon, and we're all going to be the little brothers and sisters playing up to you guys. But it's been really fun watching the way you take a balanced approach to growth and economic growth, particularly. Councilmember Karwin has lived in the city of Menifee for 20 years. He's an attorney and a business owner and is the voice of the Paloma Valley High School football team. I've only got to hear him for a few seconds, but you'll know why he's the voice of the team as soon as we start doing the judges' questions. And next up is the city of Wildomar, who's represented by Mayor Dustin Nigg, who has stolen all the thunder for all economic development announcements for this year in our region. And he did this last week when they hosted an unveiling event for Southwest Healthcare Systems and their new 7-story, $450 million hospital tower at the Inland Valley Medical Center. Mayor Nigg is a former recruiter. Yes, it is a fantastic investment in our region. And once again, these are the stories we want to tell. People don't realize how much investment is happening down here. So Mayor Nigg is also a 20-year Wildomar resident, so another long timer in our region. And our final judge is Jillian Sidoti, who I have watched present before. She is a fantastic mind when it comes to startups and is just supremely entertaining. I think she's going to add a lot to the judging panel. She has an MBA, is an author and an attorney, and assists startups in learning how to legally raise money. And I love the fact that she uses the word legally in there just to remind everybody how to do it right. So Jillian, we appreciate having you on here today. And I think you're going to bring some really great insight to our judging panel. And with that, I'd like to just move on to remind everyone, our judges will be using a scorecard that focuses on the categories of value, differentiation, viability and scalability, team, and presentation. The scorecard and judging guidelines have been reviewed not only by our judges, but have been made available to our contestants. And they also can be viewed on the Riverside County Innovation Month website for anyone who wants to see them, just so that we keep it totally transparent here. So we shouldn't have any surprises today. We know what we're looking for, and now it's time to see what our startups deliver in their pitch. So this will be the order. The next slide up, please. This is the order of our startup pitches, and there will be one added onto there. Everyone will be muted during the presentations except the presenter. During the Q&A, only the judges will be able to unmute to ask questions of the startup company. The event will be timed, and the timer will be on display. I see it on Patrick Ellis's screen right now. When it gets to 0, the presentation is done. It doesn't matter if you're right in the middle of the sentence. When it gets to 0, you're done. And the same applies to the Q&A session. There's going to be a 5-minute Q&A. When that gets to 0, that Q&A session is done. We're going to be very strict in our timelines today. And if you know me, being strict is what I do best. So please try to be as precise as you can in your answers and your presentation. After the last presentation, we'll have a brief break while the scores are tallied, and we'll come back to announce the winners during this event. So it will be announced here with us today. And with that, we're going to get started with our first presentation. For that presentation will be Murrieta Genomics, and the presentation will be done by Jay Goth. So Jay, go ahead and take it over.
So thanks to everyone who put this together. We really appreciate it. Fostering innovation is very important in this area. I want to jump right in. We're launching new genomic companies. And if you don't know about it, you'll find out a little bit about what genomics is and what it does. But first, I need to give you some bad news. Next slide, please. We are all going to die. Next slide. Now for the good news. Genomics is making our lives better. Every day, new discoveries are being made that extend life, that find cures for cancer, other diseases. There's just a whole plethora of new discoveries being made. This is a relatively new technology. DNA is in every living thing. It's our blueprint. But sequencing the DNA provides the data we need to look at to find out why I'm me and you're you. Murrieta Genomics was founded not as a company that wants to sequence DNA, even though we have a full next generation sequencing lab here in Murrieta. Our goal is to launch the next great genomic companies, the startups. Next slide. So as you can see, growth in sequencing is huge, and it's a growing business. Goldman Sachs put the size of this market at about $5 trillion in the next 10 years. So we're in a good spot. Next slide. Now we feel that there's a very strong need for a Murrieta Genomics out there. We're one of only 3 genomic sequencing incubators in the United States. Traditionally, when a genomic company starts up, they raise some money, then they go out and they build a lab, they hire technicians, and they eventually sequence data and generally run out of money because they spent all their money on the lab and the sequencing. What we want to do is alleviate that burden. We can do the sequencing for them. At the same time, we can help them build a business model and really form a viable company that once it's out of our incubator is ready to fly. Next slide, please. So this is our process. We're focused mostly on life sciences, although genomics is in everything. So we can be in agriculture, forensics, direct to consumer. You may have heard about Ancestry and 23andMe. Those are some of the genomic names that you've heard. But what we want to do is we want to help these companies validate their science. We want to, at the same time, build their business plan with them. For that purpose, we actually have what I consider our secret sauce, a group of 30 very talented leaders in their field. And they range from genomic experts to bioinformatics, to legal, accounting, human resources, mergers and acquisitions, you name it. Everything a startup company needs sits in this knowledge base of our advisory board. So we develop the business plan with the company. We find out that there's a customer, that they're willing to pay for the product that you have. So there's a need, that you can actually make a profit, which these days seems to be kind of an anomaly in startups, and that you have something that people are going to want, that they're going to need. Once we get all that done, we want to help them recruit business professionals, because generally the people who come up with the great ideas may not be the business people. They need to be in the lab coming up with next great ideas. Next slide. So we have 3 companies in our lab right now. One is SimplSeq that you'll hear about later. Another one is Epigenetics RX that's working on nutrition and determining from genomics what nutrition is good for you and what's bad for you. Then we have TX Genetic Research that's focused on your inner skin, and they tackle such subjects like chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel disease, Crohn's disease. We're just at the beginning of a genomic frontier that is going to be fabulous. And we're looking for investors who want to build a relationship with us so that they can invest in the next genomic giants.
Thank you, Jay, and you made it under the time wire. Very well done. So I'm going to give the judges just a second as I see them working on their scorecards, which means they were paying very close attention. We appreciate that. And we're going to take it over to the Q&A session. So in just a minute here, we'll have the timer reset to 5 minutes as I see Patrick diligently working on it. And once our judges put their heads up, tell me they're ready to go, we will start the Q&A session. All right. So at this time, I invite all 5 of our judges to please unmute yourself. And I see Christi White raising her hand. We're going to let you guys kind of take it over and ask Jay questions for the next 5 minutes. Let's go.
Hit me.
Hey, Jay, this is Dustin Nigg with the city of Wildomar.
Hi, Dustin.
So when you, so I understand what you're doing. You're offering the mapping, the way to kind of look at the genome, the code, to help different particular businesses in different industries.
We're looking for people who have a background in genomics.
Okay.
And they have an idea around genomics, whether it's fighting a disease or coming up with a new plant or whatever it is. We want to help them build out their idea, validate their idea, and build a business model around it. That's what we're here for. So it's a very specialized area. We're not just looking for anybody with an idea. They have to have an expertise in genomics. So we search literally the world for people like that.
This is Christi White. I have 3 questions for you. How will you make money?
We have a long game approach to this. So our goal is we're a traditional incubator. We take an equity stake in every company that comes into our incubator. And at some point, when those companies get bought or go public, we plan on making money at that point, but we really have a long view.
And are there measurable and achievable milestones to your business plan?
Yes, we have milestones in place. Obviously, with COVID and other things, you pivot, but we do have milestones in place to where we want to be.
And what are your ultimate exit strategies for this business?
We have multiple exit strategies, and they're all going to be our incubator companies. So Murrieta Genomics does not plan on having an exit strategy per se, but all of the investors who invest with Murrieta Genomics will see multiple exits. Every time one of our startups gets acquired or goes public, that's a liquidity event to Murrieta Genomics, and that money gets doled out to the investors and the management team.
Thank you.
So go ahead, Bob. Sorry, I'll raise my hand.
Yeah, that's all right. Sorry, Dustin. Hi, Jay. Bob Karwin, Councilman, City of Menifee. Hey, I'm just a little bit confused as to what you need the money for. I mean, you're bringing in other companies who seem that they would be paying you to use your facility. And then if they make money with their product, you're getting a share of that. What do you need capital for?
What we're doing, like I probably didn't make it clear, but we're trying to build relationships with investors. So I'm not specifically out here with an ask for money. What I'm looking for are investors who would be interested in this space, who would love to put money into one of these hot startups that we're developing internally. And that's
I guess my question is, hang on a second, let me stop you. My question is, it sounds like you're here just to connect with the judges, but to get them to invest. But I just don't understand if your company gets $10,000, what do you spend it on?
If we were, well, to be honest, Bob, we're not really looking for money right now in Murrieta Genomics. I'm pitching innovation in our area, and I'm actually pitching our incubator companies to potential investors in the future. So it's a different model.
It's all yours, Dustin.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know. So I think I understand the concept now. You're looking to just ideally get money, find businesses that your company thinks will be viable, right, in the genome realm, invest in that company, and then have that company be acquired, right? That's kind of your model.
That was our original model, but we pivoted from that. We don't really want to raise a lot of money in Murrieta Genomics per se. What we want to do is raise the money in the incubator companies because they're the startups who really need it.
Okay.
And since we do have a full NGS lab, we do some service revenue, so we can keep the lights on with that.
So would it be safe to say that in reality, in this type of environment, we'd want to be hearing about your incubator companies?
Absolutely. We'll hear about one in just a little while.
Okay. And what's that company called?
That'll be SimplSeq.
Okay. Thank you. I was having a hard time trying to piece together, what the ask is and what your end state is.
Right. And this really isn't a traditional investor pitch at this time.
And I'm going to jump in really quick. Maryann Edwards has had her hand up for a little bit. I don't think she got a chance to jump in. So, Maryann.
Well, I'm very patient. So I was going to ask about money also. I was going to ask you, when do you expect to start seeing money, rate of return on your investment? But you're kind of the one-off from the companies that are producing a product. So you're actually selling and promoting companies. And those companies are startup companies. How do you find them?
Well, that's a good question, Maryann. And really what we're doing right now is we're talking to a lot of the universities around the country that have people that are focused on this field. All kinds of wonderful technologies being developed in our university systems, and it never sees the light of day. It's a travesty. So what we want to do is kind of cherry pick those ideas and concepts, maybe license from them and form a company around them. That's another pivot we've made. We've developed one internal company, and that's SimplSeq, that we own 100% of until they got their first funding. And we're looking at going that way, but we also bring in qualified external companies. And I think realistically, within the next 2 to 3 years, we'll see a big return on our money.
Right. And at that point, we're going to call time. Jay, we got a little extra time in there because Mayor Edwards deserved a chance to ask her question. Plus, you were very quick on your presentation, so you had a little time to spare. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for, Jay, your presentation, and judges. We're all going to remute ourselves, and we're going to head on to the next presentation. So the only person to unmute will be Vinduino, and Rainier Vanderlee, you're going to be doing the presentation, so please take it away.
Thank you. I want to thank the Riverside Country and the Innovation Month partners for the opportunity to present Vinduino to you today. Next slide, please. So next slide, please. So next to a technology company, we are also growers, and we know what keeps a farmer awake at night, such as the cost of labor and the availability of labor, quantity and health of your fruit at harvest time, climate, of course, the water availability and cost, and the pests that affect the crop. Next slide, please. To address these issues, Vinduino has 3 products that are commercially available today. A satellite-based subscription service that provides spatial irrigation guidance to farmers, wireless sensor stations to provide local soil moisture data, and we also have an automated and wireless irrigation and fertilizer control system. Next slide, please. So with the first 2 products, we provide daily information to farmers on how much and how often to irrigate for best crop results and water efficiency. Next slide, please. So what makes us unique is that we also offer an integrated solution for irrigation automation. This increases irrigation accuracy versus manual opening and closing of irrigation valves. And it saves labor as there is no more need to be on location for operating the valves. Not to mention the potential loss of water when a worker forgets to return to close a valve. Next slide, please. The Vinduino approach sets us apart from the competition. We provide a full end-to-end solution for crop irrigation at a very competitive price of $56 per acre per year. As you can imagine, we have sufficient interest for our solution. Next slide, please. Vinduino focuses on value creation rather than just saving. Farm operation bottom line can be improved by saving and labor, increasing crop production, improve water efficiency, and last but not least, improve quality so the grower can fetch higher prices for his fruit. For a California vineyard, for example, the combined value, assuming savings on labor and water, and assuming 10% increased crop production is an average of about $1,500 per acre per year. Next slide, please. So our team is light. It's myself. We have some contractors and we have 3 advisors. So if you can help Vinduino grow, please feel free to contact me after the presentation. Partnerships that we have include Amazon as a sales channel. And we also have software services from companies such as ElmiBit and AreaWatch. Next slide, please. So based on data from the CDFA and FAO, the accessible market is estimated over $1 billion. Europe is a much larger market for wine grapes, and together with California makes up about 80% of the accessible market. So getting a foothold in Europe is an important goal for Vinduino. And just to FYI, we just landed the first trial order of 100 units in Germany. Next slide, please. Recent customers include Napa Tier 1 wineries, such as Gallo and Joel Gott. Other customers worth noting are Bayer, Bowles, some water districts, and we have a list of US universities as our customers. Revenue components are income from our hardware and recurring software services. And the picture that is shown here shows one of our customers, which is an 11,000 acre farm in California, growing cotton and tomatoes. So it shows the soil moisture status in one overview. Just to mention that we do more than just wineries and a pistachio and avocado. Vinduino received recognition for our relevant innovations from the agriculture industry, including American Farm Bureau and World Ag Expo. And then I also want to mention the IoT Internet of Things World Cup, which was happening in Spain, Barcelona, where we got the 2nd place in the agricultural section. So feel free to contact me anytime if you can contribute or have ideas to help with the growing success of Vinduino. And I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Rainier. So we're going to reset the clock. And once again, we've made it under the timeline. This is unusual in startup world. I'm very excited about the fact that we're doing our pitch presentation so rapidly. It's making it a true quick pitch. So we're going to reset that clock. In just a second, we're going to get started with our Q&A. If our judges will unmute themselves. And I will point out, I believe Jillian from Sidoti will be recusing herself from the judging. So we're going to be down to our other 4 judges as she has a connection to one of the presenters or 2 of the presenters that will be here today. So we're going to be moving forward without Jillian as a judge, but we value her as an attendee and the knowledge she brings to the table. So Jillian, thank you for pointing that out. And it looks like we're ready for Q&A anytime our judges are ready to start the questions.
I can start it.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I'd still like to ask a question, even though I'm not going to be an official judge.
I think you've earned that.
I didn't want to cheat. So my question is, what's the deal with Amazon? Are like, this seems like a B2B play. I don't understand why Amazon would be involved. And is that going to just take away from your B2B business?
No, so what we found is that 85% of the growers in California with irrigated lands are 500 acres or less. So we're talking about medium and small size farmers. And as such, we work with Amazon to make our products available to them as well, without a high cost of the sale per order. We also have a discussion with Amazon where they have a special vertical sales channel for agriculture. And that's by invitation only. So we're working with them to get to that level.
Oh, that's very cool. Okay, thanks.
Who is your geographic information systems partner? Is it Esri or?
No, the geographic information system partner is AreaWatch. They're a Dutch company, and they basically provide satellite-based services. The professor there has been working on soil moisture determination using satellite technology for 35 years. And I started working with him last year, integrating his intellectual property in our products. So we use satellite-based technology to drive our irrigation automation.
And how would your business survive? What's plan B should that relationship with the Dutch company falter?
Oh, we do have an alternative by our own products. So we have our own soil moisture sensor stations. We also use the California Irrigation Management Systems network of weather stations to come up with the same results. So we have an alternative. We have multiple ways of determining how much and how often you need to irrigate to drive our irrigation system.
Thank you. Does your business plan in terms of viability and scalability have measurable and achievable milestones?
Yes, yes.
What are those?
One was become profitable, which we became in 2019. The next milestone is find business partners to help us grow in California, and the other milestone is to get a foothold in Europe, because that's an important growth goal.
And other than California, are there other states in the United States that you're looking for pistachios, avocados, and vineyards work?
No, not as a priority, because 85% of all the wine business is happening in California. And then within California, you can also prioritize the viticultural areas according to their attractiveness. So we're kind of having a priority list of 10 viticultural areas that we target.
Thank you. I'll let someone else take the floor.
Yeah, I have a question about the product itself, the hardware.
Yes.
What are the costs associated with the manufacture, installation, and maintenance of the hardware?
Yes.
Or do you farm that out in some way? Because I saw this, there's 4 of you, but you're all scientists. I don't think you guys are actually putting together the components.
So the cost of the product, so the margin that we get on the hardware is about 70%. So that's to give you an idea. And then we use contractors for the installation, because if you're doing an irrigation installation, we do the control part, but the plumbing still needs to be done by licensed contractors that know how to do that. So that's part of our growth strategy of finding and training those partners that can help us with the actual installation in the field and the digging of the trenches.
So you talked about how most of the people you're dealing with in California have 500 acres or less. That's about $28,000 a year for your $56 per acre per year. How much of that is going to go towards maintenance, installation, et cetera?
So the software maintenance is basically an annual subscription. So that is covered. Then when we're talking about hardware maintenance, we spend a lot of time making the systems as maintenance free as possible. So typically you need to replace a battery, which is an $8 device, for every 3 years, and that's about all the maintenance it takes, except for solving urgent problems with like leakage. But leakage problems usually require plumbing intervention.
Everyone, we've reached time, but I'm wondering, does Mayor Dustin Nigg have a question before we head out? Because I saw the hand up on it. And Rainier was also done before his time on the presentation.
I know somebody else asked a question that I kind of had in my head, so we're good.
Perfect.
Is my hand still up? It is.
We are complete on that Q&A session then. Thank you very much, Vinduino.
Thank you.
And now we're going to move on to our next presenter, which is GattaCo. And Mahmoud, are you on here?
Yes, I am on.
Okay, take it away.
Right, great. So you mentioned that we're under time, so I'm gonna make sure we catch up with time here. The slides here will talk a little bit about our company, GattaCo. My name is Mahmoud Zubaydi. I'm the Chief Science Officer. We're a young company. Next slide. We're a young company that has the mission to enable doctors to have fast and accurate decision-based and data-based decision-making. And we will simplify and make the testing faster, robust, and decentralize testing and simplify it and democratize it, so doctors can have the data to make the decision next to the patient. Next slide. So we're solving the challenges that presented by the 100-year-old technology of a blood tube, which is a large amount of blood collected in a phlebotomist office or by a technician and then shipped back to the lab. And that takes days and might cause pain and its inaccuracy. So we simplify it with a device that is patented, created to take blood from a finger stick, separate the plasma, which has 90% of the biomarkers, and present it at a point of care test device or send it back to the lab. Okay, so the technology is being developed as we speak into two pathways. One is the point of care testing, which is a reader that is moved and decentralized from the lab and is done next to the patient. And we developed the cartridge and the sample preparation to enable the test from sample to results right there and then. We also have a direct to consumer where the consumer right now can receive the sample collection kit at home and ship it back to the lab. Next slide. Next slide. You can pass through this. So this is our kit. It's and I'm going to focus on the APON kit, and that's one of our products. It's a technology that was packaged in a home sample collection and optimized for neutralizing antibody detection. Neutralizing antibodies are the antibody created after vaccination or after infection. So now you can measure specifically how the vaccinated person or the patient is immune from the disease. We have coupled with two great companies, Epitome Risk and GeneScript. Epitome Risk have developed the application and logistics to reach the customer directly and enable them to receive our sample preparation kit. And GeneScript developed the neutralizing antibody that is the only one that have been approved by the FDA for emergency use device or a test. Now, we are able to now offer our test to venues like sports, entertainment events, schools, universities, even public health, to actually measure in real time how immune the population is. We know there's tons of, not tons, but few vaccination, but we don't know if all of them work, if everybody's immune or not. And this is the way to do it. This test will replace the PCR that was popular in 2020. Even Austria have changed their laws to accept a positive neutralizing antibody test instead of a PCR for travel. So we have even travel industry will be able to use it. Next slide. So we have compared ourselves to the only competitive sample preparation technology, which is the dry blood spot. And we definitely are superior to it. We provide liquid plasma instead of dry blood spot that needs to be eluted, diluted, and then processed hours or days later, where we provide the plasma that can be tested immediately once received in the lab.
Okay, and we're gonna cut it there, Mahmoud. Sorry, we've hit our time on this one, but we're gonna head over to the Q&A section now, everyone. So here's your chance if there was something more that you wanted to hear to ask that question and get that information. So we're gonna reset the clock. Okay, we're ready for Q&A. Everyone, when you're ready, go ahead and start asking your questions.
I guess I'll go first since somebody jumped in. I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what your product does. Is it to replace all blood tests? Is it for a specific thing? I'm not really quite sure. The only thing that I saw this that jumped out at me was, is this something that they can use, police officers can use as a DUI field sobriety test by the side of the road to conduct alcohol?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really have no idea what you're trying to accomplish with this product. Can you help me out?
Sure. So as you know, you've experienced going to the lab and wanted to get a test to know how you know, if you have a disease or not, you have to actually pull blood, as I've shown in the first couple of slides. You have to pull blood in a blood tube, and that blood tube has to go to the lab.
Well, let me stop you right there. I can be very more, I want to conserve your time. Are there tests that this can't do, or can it replace all of the vial blood drawing type tests?
It will not replace all of the vial test. That needs to be determined by time. What we can replace is anything that uses plasma and requires the blood to ship back to the lab. So anything that can use the plasma, we separate the plasma and test it, enable the test right there and then.
Mohammed, to piggyback off Bob's question, how many plasma tests do you or are there right now? Or how many tests would your product kind of, you know, take the place of?
We are in the process of validating those tests, but I can tell you we do cardiac, cancer. We have the antibody for immunity and infectious diseases. We validated for several blood chemistry tests, and also drug poisoning. So in case you take a drug and you don't know if you overdosed or not.
This is Christi White from City of Murrieta. I have a couple questions, please. So if I understand it in a nutshell, you have plasma test results in minutes, not days. And that helps a number of industries, including the medical profession. Are there any regulatory considerations that you face?
Yes, we are working with a consultant to validate the test for de novo or class 1 or class 2. And that's for the device as a standalone, but we're also coupling with a testing company that developed the neutralizing antibody test for EUA, which is emergency use.
Great. You did, unless I missed it, I didn't hear anything about the experience level of your team or your advisors and the availability in the market if there's added team tech that you need.
So we have right now full-time as the Michael McNeely is the founder or co-founder, and myself, and we have a senior engineer in development and manufacturing. But we also partner with manufacturing and development to basically mitigate until we get full funding.
Do you have a way to scale this up and to show us your pricing model?
So the price right now, we have customers are ordering it for the kit is based on the device and the collection, and it's $30. It's cost us around $5, and we when we scale it up, we're trying to ramp up for the tens of thousands in 2 months, and then hundreds of thousands in 6 months, and that is the need for specifically the neutralizing antibody test that's projected to use 200,000 per quarter.
Mr. Moderator, we are out of time again, and I had my hand up before you started asking questions. So I have been following, courtesy. So go ahead. No, we're already too late. So go ahead. And a lot of my questions were answered anyway, but just my hand is up. Should I stop using my hand and just yell out?
Mayor Edwards, I would still recommend you take your question. I think we've given everybody else that one last question, so please go for it. And yes, if at this point, throw your hand up, and if no one sees it, just go for the question.
Okay, so I'm thinking of application, and I know, Bob was too, I think, for police departments, especially when they're in the field and they're doing sobriety and drug checks. But it begs the question, who is qualified to give this test? Who's qualified? I mean, obviously, if the arrestee is not going to stick himself and, in order to find out that he's guilty, so who can use it? And legally recognized by the law. Is it recognized by the state of California for law enforcement? Is it recognized by any state for law enforcement?
So specifically for the sobriety test, that test has already, for alcohol, you already have a different solution there. But for example, we have been contacted by a company that want to do tests for pot, the cannabinoid. So that needs the test from the plasma, and they do not have the point of care developed yet. They take the blood finger stick and they separate the plasma, and now that can be taken back to the lab. And that is the model that enables point of care collection of the test. And you don't have to send the the person to the lab. And that also works with concussion for sports.
So who can give the test? How do you have?
Done in the lab.
How are you qualified?
So
No, I mean this. Who does the sticking?
The sticking can be done by the person or by the person itself or by the officer, but that's not a model that we have investigated yet. It's mostly
so probably not approved.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's not available on the market, so it hasn't. The model hasn't been developed, but it probably be done by the officer.
So,
and will you target law enforcement as a potential customer?
So that would be our partner who develops the test, and they develop that on their own, but we enable them from collecting the blood, which is the only way to collect plasma and ship it back to the lab.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Mahmoud, thank you very much for GattaCo for doing your presentation. And now we're going to set up for the next presentation, which is going to be SimplSeq, and our presenter is John Power. So John, are you ready?
You bet.
We're getting the 5-minute clock going here, and you'll be starting in just a sec.
Okay, and Scott, I don't know who's doing the slides, but to save some words, instead of saying next slide, how about if I just wave my hand? That work for you?
Go for it.
All right. All right, SimplSeq. What we're doing at SimplSeq is we're really looking to improve the way that you're going about providing any kind of sequencing today, whether it's next generation sequencing, next slide, or array sequencing, whatever. And the whole company is born out of 20 years of really watching lab protocols become much more complex, and the frustration that really derives in terms of hiring personnel, next slide, and working in the lab. So when you look at surveys, they clearly emphasize that this is a problem, that the workflow, the bioinformatics pricing. And when we talk to people about this, a lot of folks using end-use applications, next slide, don't really understand that this is the issue. So this is one point where I actually can thank COVID for bringing much more awareness to this problem, because COVID's a perfect example of what Jay was talking about genomics really driving a lot of future application. COVID was, as soon as COVID first showed up in China, the first thing that was done was it was sequenced so they could figure out what are the markers that are related to COVID. How do we attack this problem? And that started driving all the testing. And the nice thing now is everybody understands when they hear the word PCR. What I talked to someone on the street, they're like, oh yeah, PCR, that's the COVID test that works well. And it wasn't really available because the delay is the front end process is very complex. The testing itself only takes 90 minutes, but you were saying you were taking weeks to get results for PCR testing. What we're doing at SimplSeq is going to change that paradigm literally overnight. And then when you look at the applications going beyond that, that really COVID's helped drive, is another new word in everybody's vocabulary is mRNA, because the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines are both based on genomic work. So they look at the genomic markers that are affected, and then they take mRNA, which is produced from the DNA, and with that mRNA, they've come up with better solutions for your shots, for the vaccines. In the past, most of the vaccines were injected you with a viral component for your body to fight and build up immunity to. What mRNA does is it makes your body use its own defenses to work against it. So you're already seeing this impacting existing, like HIV now has a new vaccine based on mRNA, much like the Moderna model, that is 98% effective in testing. So it really becomes the future. So when you look at, what makes us sure that we can do this, our advisory board, we've got experts in genomics, biotech, pharma, medical surgery, oncology, as well as we've got experience working in Forbes 500 companies and startups. So we know we've got the right team. We've got our external validation under right now. We've already done our internal evaluation, and we had an independent technology review that confirms this. Next slide. The global market is huge. Next slide. So the question, and we'll sometimes hear is, well, why would anyone buy this? They've got a process. And it really goes to the next slide. Next slide. It really talks about the fact that we're driving something extremely innovative. So this creates value. As you can see in multiple industries, the new technology that had done something innovative and totally different has benefited across, it's always been the case across history. And I've seen it happen multiple times in the wireless industry personally. On the next slide, we talk about the benefits to the lab. And the benefits, we wanted to limit the bullets. When we say simplified workflows, that saves time, money, speed. So it goes to the improved quality. And quality, when you look at that, we capture more data, more DNA in our extraction. So we're starting off with better quality. So your end results from medical become better. It's very scalable, and it works on existing equipment. So on the next slide, our go-to-market, we've got our patents filed, our customers identified and we're working with under NDA, or at least our initial customers. We've got a very strong team in our manufacturing set up already. We got our contract manufacturers. Perfect. I love that. I have to tell you, next slide. Okay, when we look at the revenue projections, and we look at the scalability of this, this is a huge market, as I've already talked about, just on one application of COVID. This stretches across multiple applications. As Jay had mentioned, agriculture, forensics, it's farm, animal veterinary. Last slide. Next slide. So we look at where we're at today. We've raised our initial $2 million. That'll get us to commercialization. Our growth from there could be much larger. Next slide. That's it.
And with 3 seconds to go, too. All right, judges, I think we've got the full 5 minutes here, and it looks like Mayor Edwards has her hand up, so we're going to jump right to you.
I didn't bother lowering my hand from the last time.
Well, now
you're
stuck with it.
My question is, what's your next step? What is the one thing that you're going to do next?
All right, our next step is really commercialization. So we've got EKF manufacturing set up to do or put together our kits. We're working with a number of large genomic companies right now to validate our initial product, which is called purification product. And what they're looking at is how can they improve their existing clinical processes. So while we're working with them specifically for their business, our kits will be focused on research use only application. So we have we'll have two avenues for distribution right off the bat. So we're really focused right now on deployment.
Well, I like the way your growth chart looked.
And, you look at genomics companies, you'll see that's not, that matches what's been done.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. That's it.
All right. Do we have another question from one of our other judges?
Yeah, I got something. Go ahead, Bob.
Oh, okay. I liked your presentation. I was a little bit confused about the manufacturing. So you've got the kits. What's the cost of the kit? Who's doing that? And how are you getting that? Is that part of the the funds you're trying to raise, or is it just for research? How does the money break down that you bring in as far as expenses going out?
I'm gonna step through our whole business model to begin with. We basically are running the company. We've got 4 individuals running the company. And when you look at the kits, I come out of a manufacturing background. There's really no internal strength for us to do manufacturing in-house, because it's basically tubes with chemicals inside that you mix to do a reaction, and then you do your biology from the reaction. So there's a lot of contract manufacturers, and we found one that we've talked to a number of them. We found one that we really like that can do the kits. We've got our boxes already designed and ready to basically start assembling. And they can do the inventory, they can do all the logistics. That cuts us down from bringing it in-house, and it really becomes just a sunk expense. The kits themselves, if you're looking just to do 24 samples, that box is going to cost about probably $12 at the most. That's list price. And that's a list cost. That's us getting all our components without any discounts. The sales, and that's about $25. And our second product, which is a replication product, we can do for about $10, which will sell for about $150.
And Mayor Nigg, did you have a question?
Yeah, my question is, how long ago did you start this, and how much money have you put into it yourself?
So we got about $1 million already invested in this, and as Jay talked about, we started this with Murrieta Genomics, and part of what we started in Murrieta Genomics was we were trying to find better ways, much more efficient ways to do sequencing and to make it easier, because we saw so many genomic startups get in a lab, and they got a great idea. They go out and they build their lab, they buy the wrong equipment, they staff with the wrong people, they realize how difficult it is, and they're burning through reagents and assays. So we kept trying to figure out, how do we keep finding ways to modify this and cut the cost? And with our molecular biologist having set up multiple labs, including HLI, Human Longevity Institute in San Diego, which is one of the preeminent genomics labs, he really hadn't had the time to really look at a different approach. And what he did was, he didn't re-engineer the process. He came back and, he didn't do cycle time reduction. He re-engineered and said, there's better ways to do some of this stuff. And he really had the time to really kind of experiment. So we did about 2 years, and we've got about $1 million in it already through our own, through our initial seed investor, as well as the money we've rolled back into it from other revenue we created on service revenue.
Thanks, John.
Sure. Mayor?
Since you've been working with,
should have said Christy, there's 3 mayors, sorry.
that's Murrieta Genomics for some years now, what, in a nutshell, is the biggest hurdle? What's the obstacle? What's the biggest need to get you to scale up and get this going?
The biggest hurdle is we're doing something totally different. So when you talk to people who've been working in labs a lot, unless they've been at the bench, most people are just like, well, this is complex. We haven't changed it. They don't believe it. Or as we had one investor tell us, they said, you guys have done a great job of really monopolizing, really going in and taking advantage of the white space, because this has been right in front of people's faces. And it's the name SimplSeq is because this is so simple. It's amazing no one's ever thought of this, because it's totally off the way things have been done for the last 2 decades.
Okay, and with that, I think that's a good finish to the question. John, you were almost exactly 5 minutes on both the presentation and on the Q&A, so very well done there. Our next presenter is going to be Blaster Communications and Bobby. Bobby, are you on and ready?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. We're getting our clock set up for you. It'll be just 1 second, we'll kick it off.
Okay, let me know when.
And here it comes. Looks like we're ready. All right, Bobby, take it over.
Hello, my name is Bobby Laster, and I would like to introduce you to Dean, a disaster emergency assessment notification app. This app saves time, which saves lives. Dean is a mobile application designed for iPhones and iPads, created to help victims after a major shooting or major disaster. Blast Communications was founded in 2004 by a fire captain. That's me. I have 38 years of experience, and I saw a need to implement this new technology in the simple triage systems that we're using now. Yes, my family is the most important thing to me, family and friends. And therefore, with all of the mass shootings and disasters going on, there is a clear need for Dean. Next slide. Disasters and emergencies happen all over the world. Therefore, Dean is a global product. Saving time can help save lives and have a huge impact on this big problem. Dean was also helped created by 5 other LA County fire captains and a chief information officer for Los Angeles County, totaling over 150 years of experience. Next slide. Dean is functional and ready in the App Store as we speak. Dean has been utilized in rural areas, and we have tested it, all of the fire captains and myself, with positive results. Disaster Management Systems, DMS, is my nearest competitor, and they use paper and pencils to track victims of a major disaster or shooting. Dean utilizes smartphones, iPads, tags, lanyards, slap bands, and to track victims and introduce this new technology, this new innovation technology. Let's see. The innovation highlights and reduces the time gap associated with the golden hour. I will speak about that a little bit later. Dean is also, like I said, in the Apple Store. The information is collected and sent to Amazon. Amazon is our host, AWS, which makes Dean a worldwide, can be distributed worldwide. We have a 24/7, 365 tech team through Amazon, and we are projected time to mass is now. Our pricing for Dean, Dean admin is $299, and for Dean admin, for Dean user is $99. Also, all of our customers pay a yearly subscription of $399 per year. Updates are needed for this app at this time, and also a marketing team. I project to have over 100 fire departments, 100 hospitals, and 100 ambulance companies within the next year. All of them have it retained for the next 10 years. My exit plan for Dean would be to sell it to either FEMA or the Red Cross. We have a need for advisors, coders, a marketing team, and I'm open to any strategies and opportunities, seeing that I spent my whole life in firefighting. Dean is a clear and concise way to limit and when it comes to disaster management. Dean is clear, and it's a new innovative procedure. As I said before, saving time saves lives. One of the worst incidents we had in the US was the Las Vegas shooting. Dean could have reduced the time that the victims were at scene, and they could have included a lot of the police officers and paramedics that were on scene that are not part of Las Vegas police and fire. They could have added them to the scene and had them triage the patients, making the scene much quicker and much more doable for the fire departments that were there. Next slide. Again, the golden hour is the time following a traumatic injury when prompt medical treatment has the highest likelihood to prevent death. So here in the pie, you will see Dean will reduce the time for triage, and it also reduce the time for transportation, meaning that you could transport patients utilizing cars and not always wait for an ambulance. And you can utilize more people on scene that have experience to expedite the patients in a triage situation.
Bobby, we're at time here, so we're going to start the Q&A session. Everyone, so judges, if we could, it looks like we have 2 hands up right now from Mayor Nigg and from Mayor Edwards as well. So if we want to get started.
I think Maryann should go first. She's gotten sort of the stick a couple times.
Okay. It's okay. So I really I had a concept of your product, but I really didn't know what it was and exactly what it did until you got to the very end of your presentation. So what I take away is that your product finds people. And how does it find people? That's my next question. And then do the people that it finds have to have some type of mechanism in their phone that's not there now? So does it already work?
It already works, but it really doesn't find people. So what happens is these tags are for victims. You purchase, the fire department purchased them. And so they're replacing these tags that are now utilized for triage. These are paper and pencil. And these tags are used in the smartphones. When you scan the QR code, a page comes up, you take the picture of the information, and now this information from the smartphone goes to the iPad, and now you have an iPad full of victims. So depending on how many firefighters or helpers you have, you can create as many victims as you want. And so these tags are for police officers and medical personnel. They're the ones that start to generate all of the information from the victims and send to the administrative iPad, so that now you can send the information to the hospital.
Therefore, that's the difference between admin, right? They would be the admin side, and then you've got the other side. Got it. Okay, you should say that on the first page. That was good. Thank you.
Hey, I have a couple of questions, Bobby. Thanks. Hey, first, the admin and the user. So who is the user? Is that like a person like me and you?
It could be, but it could be you or me. But in a fire department sense, it would be the captain, and would be the firefighters would be the user. The captain would be the admin. So if we had if we had a block and someone was a block supervisor, it could be you as the supervisor, the admin, and I would be the worker with the phone getting all the information.
Okay. Okay, that kind of makes a little sense. I was thinking it was like for an individual, like, you know, all of us, and how that would work, and can you integrate it to, you know, the Apple software and all that kind of stuff. And the price seemed hefty for, you know, $400 a year for, you know, a person. Is there a concept to, I guess, kind of bundle it all together as far as, let's say, Murrieta Fire Department wants to do this, where you have, you know, 2 admins and 15 users at a blanket piece, or is it kind of piecemealed?
It's depending on how many are in the department. Per user, it's $99, and then for that department, it would only be $400.
Oh, for the entire, okay.
Yes.
I see. And then my last question, I tried to find you in the App Store. What do I search?
To find me in the App Store, it would be better to go to Nick. That's my other app. Nick is a narcotic identification inventory control. It's NIIC.
Okay.
And if you look that up, then you find that you can look at the developers' other apps. You would see Dean user, Nick helper, and all of the other apps.
Cool. I see it. Thank you.
Okay.
It looks like we have a couple more hands up. Mayor Pro Tem White, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a couple, but first I want to compliment you, Mr. Laster, on your inventive name, B. Laster, Bobby Laster, Blaster Communications. Very clever and duly noted. Talk to us a little bit about the liability insurance that you need for this application.
I have errors and omissions life insurance through Lloyd's of London for $1 million.
Excellent planning. Who are your competitors now, and who could enter the marketplace once they see your product hit?
My competitors, as I said before, is Disaster Management Systems. They use these tags here. These are paper and pencil. These are the tags that they use currently. And these are the tags that I use with the smartphones. So you're going from an analog system, which is their system, to a digital system, which is my system.
Excellent. And are there any regulatory considerations that you have to face and solve?
No, ma'am.
Excellent. Those are my questions.
Okay, and I believe Councilmember Karwin, you had a question as well. We're muted though.
As the victim of, if I'm one of the people who was in the Vegas shooting and I'm a victim, what do I need to do to participate in the program? The officers are there. How is this getting to me faster?
Okay, so as a victim, You don't need to participate. All they would do is put this lanyard on you and you're laying on the ground. They would take their smartphone, scan it, take your picture, take the information and put it into the screenshot and send it to the admin person. So your picture now, it can be shared with other admin people instead of just one paramedic coordinator that's in charge of all of the victims. That's how it works now. You're able to share that information with other admins, as many admins as you want. Does that make sense?
Just a little tip. When you keep talking about App Store, I keep thinking about it from the consumer end, because from the law enforcement or the government entity end, I can't imagine a police department going, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get our most effective device. We're going to download it from the App Store and just put it on my phone here. They generally do things in a more formal manner. When you keep talking about App Store in your presentation, I kept thinking that if I go to an event like this, there's an app I'll need to have on my phone. So if there's a disaster, I can get services right away. That's what was in my head for the first 2/3 of your presentation, if not more, maybe until almost you were done. So understanding that this is a software for use by the government entities is something that it wasn't clear to me I thought this was an end user kind of thing to protect me in the event that I'm a victim of some sort of disaster. Like what I thought it was, I could hit a button and the police would know exactly where I'm standing in the crowd and that I would need medical attention. That is something that would really interest me as a consumer. But waiting, just laying on the ground bleeding, waiting for the police to find you is difficult.
We're going to call time on this Q&A session, and everyone, judges, I'm going to ask you to make a special section of your scorecard. We're going to have an additional presentation today. It wasn't on the original screen. It is Safeguard America. This will be presented by Robert Catan. Robert, are you ready to do the presentation?
Okay, sorry about that.
Question for Maryann. Question for Maryann. So if I've known him for 22 years, does that matter?
Well, you may want to take the route that Jillian did on hers and recuse yourself from this particular scoring.
And you've known me much longer. Anyway, this is Arthur Rodin. He's the inventor, and he's going to just cover the item and show you the item. We apologize for no PowerPoint, but hopefully you can at least see it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Art. People call me Arthur. Art, it doesn't matter, but I want to introduce to you a product that we created. The company is called Safeguard America, and the product, or that's the company that owns it, but the product is called the Money Cleaner. And the reason why we come up with the Money Cleaner is because that's exactly what it does. I'm going to show you first, before I demonstrate it, why it works and how it does. We have two different ways of cleaning money. First of all, I got to tell you, it has been filed. A patent has been filed with Kenobi Martins. They got pretty excited about this thing because although it's simple, nobody has used the two types of cleaning at one time. First of all, it's got rollers in it. It's a sanitized rollers. They sanitize solution that goes into the tubes, sealed, and it goes into this device. And by the way, we made this device with a 3D printer. So every part of this we have discovered, we've learned, we've created the whole thing. And how it works is it uses a combination of a sanitized roller and it uses UVC lighting. I'll turn it on just to show you what I'm talking about. You'll see the blue lights. The rollers work, and it's real simple. It cleans money. It cleans money. It goes in the slot right there. You can see it. It also cleans debit cards. You can put a debit card in there. Comes right out. And it cleans pocket change. You can put quarters, dimes, nickels. It goes through that process with UVC lights and the sanitized rollers. Now it's pretty simple, but here's why we decided to run with this. This thing called coronavirus. As everybody on the planet now knows, coronavirus, and this is what a lot of people are not talking about, the dirtiest thing on the planet that you can see is money, paper money specifically. It's amazing because if you're wearing a mask, if you wear gloves, you see people all day, and this has been going on all year, The one thing that people do not refrain from grabbing and touching, and don't even think about it, is paper money. Paper money, studies upon studies show is one of the dirtiest things on the planet, especially American money. Compared to the euro, the American dollar is the very worst because it's porous, the paper or the cotton that they're made out of, where the euro's got some plastic connected to it. But anyway, money is exchanged everywhere. I've gone in the last year talking to businesses all over the place. They don't even think about the money. Money, in my opinion, is one of the biggest contaminants of spreading the coronavirus. So this machine, I can see this machine in every 7-Eleven, gas stations, banks. This machine can go anywhere. For anybody who even goes to a grocery store, you know, if you're right there at a counter at Stater Brothers or wherever, and you're buying groceries and somebody in front of you puts their money through this right in front of you and you don't even know what it is, I guarantee you, you're going to be the next one in line. You're going to want your credit card, debit, your money, your change. You're going to want it going through this because you realize right away, this is cleaning your money. It's going back into your purse or your wallet, but it's cleaning your money. Nothing can guarantee 100%, but this is killing 99% of everything, especially coronavirus. There's so many different ways of getting infected, of course, you know, with the mask and gloves and what have you. So it's a real simple thing. Like I say, we have a patent pending on this machine. This is about the 5th generation. The R&D that we've used in this, and we built this from scratch, totally from scratch with a 3D printer. We want to, down the road, go into business making them. We also make a poker chip cleaner. We've got, this can clean everything from mail, from a post office documents. We have different sizes that we're making, but it's, like I said, it's real simple. It just cleans things, it disinfects, and it uses it 2 different ways: the UVC light and sanitized rollers. The rollers are replaceable, so there's money in it, especially if you're investing in it, because kind of like a printer, the real money in a printer is the replaceable cartridges. These rollers, depending on how often they're used, are going to.
All right, Robert, we're gonna call that time. I think that final point came across. So we're gonna call time on that. We're gonna start the Q&A session. We're gonna put 5 minutes back on the clock for Q&A. And I believe, Jillian, if I saw correctly, you had a hand up for a question.
Yes, you kind of saved yourself at the end there because I'm not seeing the value in the money and the credit cards because so many people now are using because of coronavirus are using their phones to pay or what have you, or they touch their credit card and no one else touches their credit card because they put it in the machine themselves. So I think the poker chips is a more so I apologize. I put my hand up before you got to the end there about the poker chips and the replaceable cartridges. To me, that's where your real value is. Have you sold, how many of these have you sold? Where are you selling them?
We haven't sold a single one yet.
Okay.
No, we haven't. These are, we just still have the prototypes out. This particular one is going to cost about $35 to make. I have had businesses like right here in town, Ziggy's, they want a couple of them for their counters. You know, it's funny that you talk about how people are now paying with credit cards, but there's so many other things, ATMs, there's offices, anywhere where somebody's handling any kind of paper product in the size of mail or an office document. Right next door, I have an accountant and she went gaga over it. I went in there one morning and she had all her mail on the ground. I'm like, Kathy, why is this on the ground? She goes, my mailman didn't even have gloves on. People, there's a real concern today about contaminated things. And there's still the exchange of dollar bills. There's still the exchange of currency, but it cleans so many other things. Very inexpensive. I can see this on the counter of everything from the DMB to 7-Eleven. So.
And I believe that Mayor Dustin Nigg has a question as well.
Yeah, hey, Robert or Art, thank you for your presentation. I had a couple questions. I kind of share the same concern as the previous person, just because I feel as a society, we're kind of moving towards that digital realm of things. But, you know, I recognize, you know, cash and money will still be, you know, here for the foreseeable future anyway. So knowing that, who is your target market? Is it the businesses and casinos and those types of things, or is it the individual?
There's 5 million businesses in the United States, 5 million that handle dollar bills.
Okay.
5 million in the United States. It's over 5 million actually. So that's who we're targeting. Anybody, any business that is exchanging money, debit cards, credit cards, whatever.
Okay.
And of course, every office that handles letters, documents, the need to clean your money, to clean what you're touching, that's the big concern for me.
Okay. And then I heard you mention what you were holding in your hand cost $35 to make. What is your price point for the product?
No, this doesn't cost, no. This was a prototype. That's what we figured they'll cost. That's the ballpark when we get into production. This one didn't cost that, of course. But we have different sizes too.
So let's say the one you just had in your hand, what do you envision that costing to make? On your side, and what do you envision?
Yeah, after about when we actually get about 1,000 of them made, they're going to run about $36 a piece. That's about what's going to be the price. We can retail these things for $79 to $99.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Karwin, did you have any question?
I did. I'm familiar with the phone soap product. I own it myself. It's a little cage where you can put your phone in. It seems like the big market for a product like that has been traditionally cell phones. It's the thing that everybody talks about. Cash is secondary to that. The number one thing people touch are their cell phones. Doesn't seem like you could put a cell phone through that.
Oh, no. I didn't bring that up. We also have one for a cell phone. You see the port that I showed you where the dollar went in. The port just gets bigger for a cell phone. No, that's minor stuff. A cell phone is, I should have brought that up. What are you thinking about that?
But is that a separate, because what I'm saying is I could take my phone soap cartridge and put a dollar bill in there. I could put change in there. I could put my keys in there. I could put anything I want. I don't need them with different sizes, holes, or different machines to do it.
No,
so,
it's spring adjustable. It's loaded. I know exactly what you're saying. We actually have one that we're going to use for the cell phone.
Okay. So how does your product differentiate from the phone soap?
Well, it's all sides, first of all. And the device that you're talking about, is it using, I'm not even familiar with that, but I've heard people talk about it. Is it using two types of cleaning system?
It's just the UVC light.
See, UV kills stuff like coronavirus, but my God, do you know how many things it cannot kill? UV is only one way of things. That's why we're using two. A sanitizing solution, I mean, even something like Lysol will kill things that UV can't kill. That's why you have to use two. On the market today, you can buy a lot of different devices that are strictly UV or strictly like a Lysol. We have a combination of both.
Okay, and at that point, I think point made. We're gonna stop the presentation portion and the Q&A portion. I believe we've gotten through our 6 presentations, and we want to kind of keep it as fair and close as we can on time.
Thanks for your time.
At this point, we're going to offer all of the presenters a little bio break time, but the judges get no relief. They're going to be coming with us into a separate breakout room where we're going to go over the scoring. So we're going to separate for about 5 minutes while we go over the scoring, and we will come back with the announcement of the winner. So right now, all the judges will be jumping into a separate breakout room with myself, and the rest of you, please take a moment, stretch, and we'll come back for the announcement in just a few minutes. And we are back. That's way too big of a picture of myself. And we're back, everyone. Thank you for waiting for us. We are ready to announce the winner. Our judges have come up with a clear and decisive announcement as to who the winner is. And this year's Southwest Riverside County Quick Pitch Competition winner is Vinduino. So Rainier Vanderlee, you've won this competition. Congratulations, Vinduino. In this case, the winner receives $500. The sponsor of this year's event was the law offices of Benjamin Diedrich. So Rainier, you will be receiving $500. That will come from Impact Southwest Riverside County, who please stay on the line when we're done with this event so we can arrange all those details. But in addition to that, and so long as you meet all the criteria for the Riverside County Quick Pitch Finale, the winner is able to move on to the Riverside County Quick Pitch, or I'm sorry, the Riverside County Pitch Finale, which will be shown on April 28th. The great news about that event is the winner of that event receives $10,000. So there's anticipated 6 startup companies that will be pitching in the finale for a grand prize total of $10,000 they'll be going to, plus just the great experience of being named Riverside County Innovation Month winner. So Rainier, there's going to be some follow-up that we're going to have to do. In this case, Epic SBDC takes every single winner of every single pitch competition and puts them through a process where you're going to do some work with them as they help to refine pitches for the finale. So we'll connect you with them. But in this case, you've won the Riverside County Southwest pitch competition. You're the $500 winner, and we will be putting your information through to the county for the grand finale. So congratulations to you. And everyone, thank you so much for all of your work. Our judges did a fantastic job. Thank you so much, Mayor Maryann Edwards from Temecula, Mayor Pro Tem Christi White from the city of Murrieta, Councilmember Robert Karwin from the city of Menifee, Mayor Dustin Nigg from the city of Wildomar, and Jillian Sidoti, our startup investment advisor. Thank you all for your input and judging and questions and time. We really appreciate it. And Rainier, congratulations. And I want to thank all of our startups that pitched today. This is what's making this area great. We really appreciate the work that you're doing to be innovative and bring high concepts to Riverside County. And that is it for our competition today. And Rainier, congratulations. And like I said, we will see you all at the pitch finale for Riverside County on April 28th.